Well, how's everybody doing? Here we are again, but this weekend, I believe, is going to be the weekend we're going to paint this old bird. I've got a paint booth set up behind me here, I'll show you that. And she is entrapped in that plastic box. That way I don't get overspray all over everything in here. We're going to try to paint this thing this afternoon. Still got a lot of cleanup to do. Oh, as you can see, it's sanded down good. You got some primer in spots, things like that. Trunk lid is ready to go, primered and sanded. She's pretty smooth all over. Body's, pretty straight on this car. There's a couple of places. Right here on the corner of the hood, I'll show you. That place right there had to do a little work, and as you can see, there's still some spots in it I don't like, but I mean, this is a rat rod, so I didn't spend a lot of time on body work like I would the wagon or something like that. This is just to blow a little paint on here and make this thing look pretty cool, or try to anyway. So that is the plan for today. Try to get the first coat of paint on this old car. I'll go back out here in the shop and let's talk a little bit about that paint. That's Majic tractor, truck, and implement paint that we have. This paint requires a 24-hour window between coats. And everything that I've read or watched on YouTube says the same thing, that for best results, wait 24 hours. This paint mixes 16 to 1. So basically you got the little can of hardener for 1 gallon. The 1 can of reducer for 1 gallon. Obviously we'll have to cut those ratios to paint this car. I'm no painter, but I can probably make this look better than it does. So that's what the goal here is. And I mean, with these rat rods and stuff, I mean, it just really don't matter. I really didn't have to paint the car because it's a rat rod. I could have probably left it. It would have been fine, but I just personally, my personal preference, I hate that blue. So I want to get that blue off of it, just gray on it. Yeah, it may look, that Majic paint, I used the spray can. I had 3 spray cans we bought with that for the door jambs and stuff like that, and it cut in under the hood and the trunk lid. It done amazing. We put it on the dash and the steering column, and it just turned out fabulous. It's a little glossier than what I'd like. This stuff is really glossy. I'm not a fan of gloss paint, but we're doing this on a budget, so we want to, utilize stuff that's obviously cheap. So that's the way we went. Hopefully it don't look bad. I mean, there's a couple ways you could look at this. If that paint don't turn out the way we want it, or something goes wrong in the painting process, which can happen, that's a given. Let's just say it turns out terrible, and we can always let it cure and then patina this thing. We could do something like that. I don't really want to repaint it, so we're hoping nothing goes wrong and the color does good. So that's where we're at. Update on the Bronco. Still no block. I got to get hold of that guy. Getting to be a little irritating. But in the meantime, maybe we can get this blue car out. Things that we have to do after the car's painted, it's got to sit for 7 to 10 days to fully cure. You can test the curing process. Find you a small edge inside the fender somewhere, press your fingernail in it. If your fingernail leaves an indentation in this paint, it's not cured. If it don't leave an indentation, it's cured, you're ready to go. So we want to make sure that we let it sit to 7 to 10 days or however long it takes to cure. 24-hour window between coats. So let's say I paint tonight at 7 o'clock. It's a Saturday. I'll paint Sunday at 7, Monday at 7. That's what we're kind of shooting for here. It's going to take 3 coats. We're not going to do any gloss because trust me, clear, because trust me, this paint's glossy enough without that. Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. I've got to clean the shop. I've got to get the trash out, clean the floors. I've got to wipe the car down. It's going to be a busy, busy morning for me here, getting this ready to go for this afternoon. Then I'm going to take a break throughout the day. I'm going to let it alone. I'm going to come back this afternoon, wipe the car down. We'll get the cameras back on. We'll wipe the car down, mix the paint, and put it in the gun, and then we'll do some shooting. But let me show you something here. Over here on this table, I'm shooting this thing with a Harbor Freight gun. This is a cheapo $15 Harbor Freight gun. I got a little better air regulator on this one, but that's a Harbor Freight water separator. I'm just running my pressure regulator. From what I understand, of course we'll test it when we get some paint or lacquer in it. We'll test the fan and we'll test the pressure, but from what I understand, you want something around 30 psi to gun. So I've got my air compressor over there already dialed on its gauge, and I've got this one pretty much set up. I cleaned that gun. When you buy one of these guns, make sure you disassemble it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about disassembling them and cleaning them out of the package. They're full of oil. You do not want to pour fresh paint in that gun and immediately shoot it, because it's not going to be good. So yeah, keep that in mind. Oh, over here in the floor we've got the visor. I've still got to do it. I figured, well, I'll paint it next week after work, stuff like that. So that's where we're at. Paint's where we're going. Let's get it done. Alright, we got that first coat on that car now. I actually let it sit overnight, this next morning. A couple things I want to say about that paint. One, it covers really good. It took 2 cups, 20-ounce cups in the gun to paint the whole car. The second thing I want to say about that paint is it's incredibly thick. I mixed it, you know, basically the way it said on the can, stuff like that online. And yeah, it's thick. We'll put the second coat on today and probably the third coat on tomorrow afternoon sometime. I'm going to up the ratio on the reducer for the second coat just because it shot so thick when we painted it. We'll go in here and take a look at it and just kind of hit the high points of it here. Oh, let's see here. It goes on smooth. I mean, even as thick as it was, it went on very smooth. And it looks good after sitting all night. You can see, you know, it laid really good. I like this color on this car. It looks good on here, but of course, you know, anything looks better than Easter egg blue. But this almost looks like a 1940 color, you know, that you would see on a car like this. And you see, I didn't do a lot of body work on this car. You know, we done body work on the dash, the doors where we shaved the panels, and then this trunk lid where it was so bad. But places I didn't do body work, the paint really filled in. I mean, look at this splash pan. I just basically roughed over that, cleaned it. Roughed it over with a piece of sandpaper and cleaned it. And I'm trying to get down here close so you can see some of the spots, you know, like off in here. And I mean, you know, the paint made it look good. I'm pleased with this paint, and I would buy it and use it again. It's actually the first time I've used this brand. I've used John Deere brands of construction paint, stuff like that, but this is the first time using this Majic paint from Royal King and Tractor Supply. And yeah, I'm gonna definitely use this again, this paint. It did really good. I'm really pleased. You can see right here on the hood there's some damage there. And look how good it filled out. And we've still got, you know, this is only the first tack coat. We've still got 2 coats to go. The only thing that I will say about it is I want to thin it out a little bit more so it shoots a little bit smoother and a little bit quicker. We're going to work on that on this next coat. Probably get a little bit of that on there, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time standing here gabbing about this. We're going to get on with the show. It's not time to paint yet. That's another thing about this paint too. I guess this has kind of turned into a review video on that paint, but that's another thing about this paint that I do not like. It's a 24-hour window between coats. Now they say 3 coats and you're good, but heck, that's 3 days. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Look guys, it's cheap paint. It's very cheap paint. We're shooting it out of the cheapest gun that you can buy, which is a Harbor Freight gun. So, you know, for the cheapest paint and the cheapest gun and very, very minimal body work, I can live with 3 days for results like that. I mean, that's, you know, for no more effort than we have in this, it's outstanding. Now, I will say, you know, you've got some effort there. I mean, sand the whole car down, it's got to be clean. You can't skimp on that. You know, the final go-around, the voice was helping me with this. He showed up back actually over here before I got back the day of painting yesterday, and he was actually wiping on the car and cleaning it before I got here for an hour. So it's one thing to remember: if you're going to try to paint your car at home, make sure it's clean. I'll show you what I clean it with. I use coarse soap and water first. Dawn, like Dawn. Mineral spirits. And then after that, Duplicolor wax and grease remover. This is great stuff right here. Way I like to put it on, I like to put it on very heavy with a rag with like a microfiber. I like to put it on heavy with microfiber, and then have Miss Amanda or Axel or somebody, Bubba, somebody come back behind me with dry rags and wipe the whole car down in the creases and everything. And what I look for is, once we're done with that, I want to be able to take a white paper towel or white rag and wipe anywhere on the car and pull the rag up and it's white. That's when you know you're ready to paint. Because if you have any kind of dirt, grease, grime, anything on that body, when you start spraying paint, it will fisheye. It can cause wrinkles in the paint, fish eyes, it can cause all that stuff. So you don't want that, because this, at best, the best you can do, the quickest you can do on something like this, it's a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work. So you don't want to have those end results screwed up just simply because of some grease on the body somewhere, fingerprint. The oils from your skin will do that, cause fisheye. So, you know, that's probably the biggest tip I can give anybody on doing something like this themselves, is make sure it's clean. But far as stuff that's left on the car now for paint will be the visor. I've got some bracketry I need to paint, and the front bumper, and the rear bumper, but I'm not going to paint that rear bumper until that car is cured out. Oh, and that's something else. 10-day cure time on this. 10 days, 7 to 10 days is what it says on the can. That's recommended cure time on this thing. So, but I mean, golly, guys, for $45 a gallon, you could probably paint 2 cars. Now, I'm going to paint this car. I'm going to paint my daily, my Toyota, same color. So, I mean, you know, you got $45 of paint for a gallon. The hardener's 20 bucks, so that's $60. Well, 65. Paint's really 45 bucks. $65, and then I think the reducer's $10 a can. So for $75 in paint and a bucket of sandpaper and, you know, some degreasers and tape and paper, you know, I think you could paint your car. If you want to paint your daily, you could definitely do it for under $200. Man, all day, really easy. Like my Toyota, I won't do any body work because it's just my daily driver. That's what I run to work in, go to the garbage dump in it, stuff like that. Go up to junkyard, we buy haul parts in it and stuff from time to time. So for that truck, the paint looks terrible. I mean, it's just faded. You know how older early 90 model Toyota paint is. Shoot, yeah, I'll dump 200 bucks in it to make it look like that. If it turns out half as good as that, I'd be pleased. I mean, so yeah, I mean, not a bad option if you're looking for a budget paint job. I'm gonna try it yourself. $15 spray gun, Harbor Freight. I just will say this: make sure that you go by the directions. Make sure the car is clean. Make sure your windows, 24-hour windows, are right, and your 10-day cure time is right. And the way you can check that is after about 7 days, go out there, find you a place on the inside of the fender that's not seen, that you can't see. Push your fingernail into that paint. If there's no indention, it's cured. If there's an indention, got to sit longer. And the way you mix that paint does affect those cure times, guys. So make sure that you abide by what those cans say as far as cure times and the way that the paint is mixed. Because and make sure you pay attention to the weather. You want temperatures on this paint between 40 and 90 and 50% or less humidity. So that humidity will screw a paint job up. I learned that the hard way. So make sure you pay attention to all that. And yeah, I said I was going to quit gabbing probably, 10 minutes ago. But okay, moving on. We're going to start the bumper now. Show you the bumper down here. It's on the ground down here behind my chair. I'm thinking body color on this and a black bumper. This bumper's pretty toasty. It's pitted with rust. We're just going to basically run wire wheel over it, sand those little center pieces that are going to be body color and try to smooth those up good. And just going to hit this with some of the cheap Rust-Oleum spray can from Walmart. Going to hit the inside and the outside of the bumper with that, and the 2 center pieces on that bumper, these pieces right here, hit with the the actual color of the car that I have in rattle can left, so should look pretty good. We won't be done. Even after that, I've got to shoot the visor. I haven't painted the visor yet because it just wasn't sanded down, and you can see here it's got some greens in it, some silvers. That visor, guys, is aluminum, so that's a little different animal. So I'm gonna get it sanded down today, get it ready for paint, maybe even paint it this afternoon when we put the second coat on this car. I am gonna get the bumper done today and painted. Other than that, we got a little pan, sheet metal pan we're gonna have to make in the front. I got a bead roller, the Eastwood bead roller coming, so I've never used a bead roller, seen a lot of videos on one. We're going to try that out on that front pan and maybe make some pieces that go inside the door for your feet when you step in the car, so you don't step exactly on the carpet. So with that being said, let's get on this bumper, let's hit that visor, and this afternoon we'll get some footage of the second coat going on. Alright, here's what we got on this old bumper. Run it over with a wire wheel. This thing's pitted. I mean, she's rough, but I think a good coat of paint will you know, clean it up a little bit. She is toasty. So I'm gonna flip this over now, put a little black paint on the back side. We're gonna wipe it off, clean it. I'm gonna put a little paint on the back side of that bumper. I went over it with a wire wheel too. It was just rust on the back side. Yeah, it's pitted, it's toasty, but that's what you want for this rat rod stuff. So we'll throw a little paint on it, see if we can make it look a little bit better. All right, got the back side of the bumper clean, sprayed a little paint on it. It's about what the way I thought it would. Now, the inside of this bumper it's basically a carbon copy of what the outside is going to look like because it's so pitted. So let's show you here, and you can see it has almost like a hammered look to it. Now this paint is still extremely wet, but that is what we have. And like I said, this is probably going to be carbon copy of what the outside is going to look like, which is fine. I mean, this old rat rod, that's totally fine. Bumper does have a little bit of a tweak to it. There's a dent in the middle of it. It's not major. I don't think it's anything to worry about, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, when we flip it over, those horns, paint the bumper and let it sit up and dry. And then once it's dry, we'll go back and tape it up. And the center horns, we'll paint body color. I think it looked good. Painted the inside of them black, so you know they had some rust, and them things are terrible to rust out anyway, so that's what we did there. So that, just let that dry, and then I've just got to clean the outside of it and shoot it, so that job will be done. So moving right along, I'm going to sand that visor down, get it ready for paint, get it sanded up, cleaned up. May have to primer it, we'll see how it goes. But then yeah, that'll be pretty much all of the body parts for the car will be painted at that point. We can start putting this thing back together. Got 2 more coats on the car still, but that's where we're at. Let me we're gonna let this paint set up. I'm gonna go get something to eat. We'll be back. All right, got the visor sanded down now, and as you can see, you know, she's got some damage. She's old, she's crusty too. That's okay, that's the way I want it. It'll fit the car pretty good. However, to get a good finish on this paint, we are going to prime this. I'll go back and sand that primer down before I put on, you know, the body color. But yeah, she's got some dents and dings, but shoot, it's 75 years old anyway. This is no repop piece. This is a real piece right here. I kept off of an old truck, 48 model truck I had that I traded off a while back. So this never got put on it, so it stayed with me. And buddy, I'm glad it did, because it's really going to add a cool factor to that old car in there. This is aluminum. It's easy to sand, but yeah, you can see right there the damages. And she's got, well, I mean, look, it's dents and dings all in it, and it's showing its age. But I think we can breathe a little more life into her and make her look good, put her on that car. So now I'm going to have to primer both sides of that. I'm going to paint the back side and outside. So we'll go ahead and flip it over now, throw some filler on it, some filler primer, and flip it over, primer the top, and then let it and the bumper sit the rest of the rest of the day, really, till this afternoon. Then we're going to come back and do another coat on this old car. Alright, second coat is on. This coat went a lot smoother. I mean, this is literally right after I just got done painting this. Just enough time to clean the gun is all. But this coat went on real good. We added a little more thinner this time to that paint, and she really turned out good. I mean, yeah, there's some orange peel and stuff in it here and there, but for the most part, you can see right there, it's a little bit of orange peel. There's some in it. It's not terrible. It's not enough to worry about for a rat rod anyway. I also painted the underside of the visor. Really like this color. Now this visor, the underside looks real good on this. I'm not real worried about the underside. I just want to get some paint on it. You know, the outside of it, we'll paint tomorrow. That's what I want to get the paint on. But yeah, this second coat went on pretty good. Old car's turned out real good. I'm pleased with the paint. Maybe get a little better gun, but it's getting the job done. That's all that matters. Those shaved door handles, they really turned out nice. Can't ever tell there was a door handle there. Really nice. So now we'll wait 24 hours and then we'll put the final coat on this thing and she'll be painted. Alright guys, I just shot that third coat, final coat on that car. You can see over here I'm cleaning up now, cleaning out that little gun and getting all these parts and stuff clean and put all this stuff up for next time. Let's go in and take a look at this final coat. I'm real pleased with the way it went down on that final coat. You can see it went really smooth. Yeah, it's got some orange peel in it and stuff like that here and there, but I mean, this is a rat rod, so. But man, I've been done painting now for probably 20-30 minutes, I guess it's it. And I mean, yeah, it turned out nice. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. So my thoughts on this paint. If you're doing a rat rod, absolutely. If you just have to paint it, if you know, if the original patina somebody mucked that up, or you know, it's just whatever, and you just want to paint it, absolutely. For the money, I can't say anything bad really about the product itself for that kind of money. But what I will say is that 24-hour flash time between coats, that's a headache. That's really the only thing that I don't like about this paint. But for $45 a gallon, yeah, I mean, deal with it, right? For $45 a gallon. Um, we sprayed 3 coats over 3 days, 3 afternoons. The first day I sprayed, we mixed this paint directly to the manufacturer's specification. And let me tell you, it took me an hour to paint the car. 2 cups on the car, it's so thick. So on the second time, the second coat we painted, I said, you know, let's do something. Let's thin it out a little bit more. So original, they want you to mix 2 parts or 2 ounces of reducer to 20 ounces of paint. That's a cupful, 20 ounces. And then I think it was 2 parts also catalyst hardener. So the second coat we went on, we added 3 parts of reducer, 2 parts of catalyst to 20 ounces of paint. Well, you know, shy of that, made 20 total ounces with the reducer and hardener. This time, the last coat, we doubled it. We did 4 parts reducer, 2 parts hardener on 20 ounces of paint. Now let me tell you something. That was 16 ounces, something like that, of paint, 4 ounces reducer, and then, you know, the hardener. That's what it needs to be. To shoot this out of a Harbor Freight gun and have it go down like paint should go down, like, that's what it has to be. And I'm running about 35 psi on my regulator on my gun, and I've got my compressor regulator set at about 110. So anybody that wants to try this, I've watched a number of videos on YouTube about this paint, and it just seems like everybody does it different. They mix different ratios, and then nobody ever locks down and says, well, I'm saying on record, for me, 4 ounces of reducer, 16 ounces of paint, and then your catalyst hardener. And I'll show you the way that I mixed I use one of these cups, mixing cups here, and you can see right there, 4 ounces of reducer is where I was going. And then I'm using these little cups right here, and I'm filling one of these little medicine cups. 1 ounce is all the way to the top is 1 ounce. So I was mixing one of these to 4 ounces of reducer and 15 ounces of paint to make 1 cup in the gun. So that's what worked. That's what worked. In the meantime, well, you know, in the last couple of days while I've been doing this, of course, you know, you do it and you got to get out or whatever. We've set up this plastic booth right here. It's got a top on it and sides. So the overspray hadn't been bad at all. I did go ahead and paint the visor, top and bottom. This is what it turned out like. And I mean, this visor's rough. I mean, you can see it's rough. But this is, again, is a rat rod. So, you know, if you're painting a show car or something you want nicer, like a resto mod or something like that, or you just like a cleaner look than that, by all means, you're going to want a better paint. You're going to want a better enamel or base coat, clear coat. I want to be perfectly clear about this. This paint works. It gets the job done, and I'm very pleased with the way it covered and, you know, what it filled in and what it turned out looking like. But like I said, there again, if you're doing a resto mod, get a better paint. This is not for you. But for you budget guys, you just want to get it on the road, by all means, I say do it. I did this is the bracket for the center of the visor. It's all welded up and done. I know I was supposed to do a video about this, but I just got in a moment, and I'm sorry. But you can see it's just some smaller round bar, and I used some of that bracket material that I had on that window regulator. I just welded everything up, bent it the way I needed it, and primed it. And then I shot it with that aluminum paint. Really big fan of that aluminum spray paint right there by Rust-Oleum. It looks pretty good. I think it'll match okay on this old rat rod. And right here is the bumper. And you can see this bumper was in pretty rough shape. But these guards on it, and with this satin black paint, Rust-Oleum satin black spray, hey, man, it's gonna look pretty good for old rat rod, that's for sure. So there's my recap on the paint. Harbor Freight gun did great, $15. Just make sure you clean it really well out of the box. Make sure that you open the gun has a pressure regulator built into it. Put your own regulator on it and then open that all the way up. Turn your fan wide open and turn your fluid delivery all the way open. It did great. I mean, for 15 bucks, man, $45 a gallon, can't beat it. I mean, you really can't beat it for stuff like this. Yeah, it's great. So, you know, enough of this and enough of that. On the next video, we'll start untaping this thing. It's got to have a 7 to 10 day cure time. So on the next video, we'll start untaping it and we'll really get to see what she looks like. So until then, you guys have a good afternoon. Hey, check out the Facebook page. Go on there, friend us on Facebook, Long and Low Customs, and hit the like button, share button, subscribe, and the like button, and the bell for notifications. And yeah, we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good afternoon.